right? So, as I've mentioned before, okay, payroll is also one of a big portions of QuickBooks because it's dealing with your employees. And of course, as a company, if you're going to have people who work for you, that should be one of a big part to deal with because especially dealing with employees and understanding how much it's going to cost you as a company to just have employees in general. You got to think about how are you going to pay them? How much are you going to pay them? What can you offer to your employees to allow them to sustain and want to keep continuing working for you, okay? So what benefits do you provide? Are you offering a part-time position or a full-time position, right? And things like what deductions can they take? What benefits can you offer? Okay, as well as do you offer sick pay? Do you offer vacation pay? Do you offer paid time off? If not, do you guys offer personal time off? Okay, so there's a lot of factors that you have to come up and think about before even setting up payroll. Is what are you going to be offering to your employees, and what means do you have to look into the government, because IRS is going to be after you, because if you're going to have employees on a payroll schedule and you're paying them, you're going to be also be responsible for making the liabilities payments to the government, because as by law, every individual that works for your company must be withheld either income tax or they must be withheld for Social Security and Medicare. That is the base and bottom line for all companies. Now, unless you are an independent contractor or you're not a full employee to the actual company, you're just someone, a third-party vendor, independent contractor, whatever it is, you guys are going to be responsible for paying your own tax, okay? This company, if they do not employ you as their own, they're not responsible for taking any consideration for your Social Security, Medicare, or any withholdings, okay? So the only people that can be under the payroll system is only strictly common law workers, which are your regular 9-to-5 people, or your full-time employees, or statutory employees, which are people who work for your company, but they're not obligated to come into the office at all times. They're not told when to come in, but they are told exactly how to do their job. You have to be provided everything to do the job, and the means of the action must be the same. Okay, so in this case, only those groups of people can be considered under your payroll system, okay? Anybody else that's an independent contractor, third-party vendor, they do not exist on your payroll. So that's why when we were talking about earlier about when we were setting up the company file, they put it under W-2 employees or W-4 employees, whatever you want to call them, but they put 1099 workers under there. They're not considered your employees, okay? So make sure you understand that they are just a mere expense to you, okay? You are not responsible to hold anything for them except to give them their W-2 form at the end of the year, okay? So with that being said, make sure that if you are following along with me, you are going to be using Payroll Setup 21. Once again, this is the file that I was talking about that was missing in the previous zip folder. But if you've recently downloaded it, then you should definitely have this one because they've updated the zip file already. Okay. So with that being said, we'll talk about payroll systems or payroll services at the end of this chapter. Okay, so when we talk about payroll, there are many, many, many steps that you have to take. For those who were in my accounting class, you know how labor intensive it is because you have to treat every individual person completely different. And based on how much income they earn is going to be even more work for you because you have to calculate what they earn, right? Their gross earnings. And if every person submits to you a separate W-4 form, which tells you how much that they want you to withhold from their paycheck, then you're going to treat every individual employee as a per case individual calculations. So that means every time you have an employee, you have to calculate their how much tax to withhold, how much Social Security they need to withdraw, how much Medicare they need to withhold. All right. Not only that, but if you charge any other, or if you have to pay for state taxes, which luckily in Nevada you do not need to incur that. But if you live in the state of California, Texas, or New York, those have state taxes, especially in California. California, you have not only one, you have 3 California separate state taxes that you have to pay. All right. So it's ridiculous. Not only do you have to pay the federal, but you have to pay also the state as well. Okay. In Nevada, we are lucky enough to not pay state taxes. Okay. Because as we know, Vegas pulls in a lot of the money from outsiders, right? So there's no need to for the state to have to charge their residents money because they're pulling in money from outside, from other states. Okay. Now, with that being said, right? Now that we know that that there are taxes, not only do we have to calculate their taxes, we also have to calculate our taxes to have employees. So we are subject to federal unemployment tax. We are subject to state unemployment tax. If we have to, workers' compensation. Other things could be we have to pay into their Social Security and Medicare as well. That is our responsibility. So not only do we have to pay for having the employee work for us, we also have to pay the responsibilities for having them come into the workplace and protect them as much as possible, right? Protect them by, in case they get injured on the job, workers' compensation. Protect them in case they get fired or they quit. In case they get fired, our company is going to be responsible to pay for their unemployment. Okay? So there's a lot of details into how hard we have to work for doing a manual payroll system. So with that being said, that's why it's just much easier to just outsource your payroll system because of how labor intensive it is. And that's what I was going to talk about, you guys, at the end of class, which is QuickBooks or Intuit has also provided an additional subscription that you can purchase that allows you to process payroll for you. All right. And those are these 3 right here, which is going to be basic, enhanced, and assisted. Okay. Now, unfortunately, on my end, I can't show you the details on how to view that information. But what I can do for you guys is I can show you how to obtain it if and when you do actually purchase the program. Okay. But for now, that's going to be saved to the very end. So with that being said, if you are going to be considering having employees, these are the necessary steps that you must take before so you can set up those payroll items and payroll taxes, getting all those things situated, collecting those W-4 forms from your employees, and properly entering them into the system so then you can process payroll much easier and much quicker. Okay? So here you go on this page right here for 370, gives you the 10 steps that you need to do in order to set up for payroll. Now, here's one thing they forgot to tell you to do. First off, step 0 is going to be, once again, the question that you have to answer is, are you going to have employees? And if you are, you need to map out how you're going to pay them, what benefits you're going to offer, what deductions can they take from you, and what other extra benefits that they can get from you. Because if you don't have any of those ideas of how you're going to pay them, you're going to be on this window forever. Because again, there are so many options and so many things that you can do when it comes to either garnishing or paying your employee. There's many ways that you can pay your employee, and if you have those ideas already set, then all these steps right here will become a lot more easier, okay? So in this case, the book has already pre-made up everything for us, and they're walking us through these 10 steps right here to set up payroll for Imagine Photography, okay? Now, of course, number one thing is you need to have your payroll accounts, all right? Payroll accounts are going to be determined. How are you going to be collecting all of this information? How are you going to be organizing every time you run a payroll, just a payroll itself, right? How are you going to, recognize when you need to pay an employee? You're going to recognize them as payroll expenses, okay? And then on top of that, how do I, categorize all the liabilities that I owe to the government for having my employees? You're going to have to create those liability accounts, okay? So once again, QuickBooks has done it for you already. But if it isn't there, then you need to add these in here because we're going to talk about creating payroll items, which are going to be directly linked to these accounts. So that is step number one, is you need to make an account first before you can create your payroll items, okay? So once again, in your chart of accounts, you should have this small section here that says salaries and wages expense, or payroll expense, payroll liabilities. Other ones is going to be payroll expense, gross wages. You have a whole section right here for your payroll things that you have to be subject as an expense to make a payment for your employees, okay? So once you have your payroll accounts set up, now we need to set up our payroll items. Now, once again, this is going to be separate from your item list, because if your item list is everything that needs to be dealing with sales, right, there is a separate list for all of payroll. So if you go up to list, right, and you go down here, you're going to see that there are payroll item list, okay? If I click on that, okay, my window should pop up, and here are the standard ones that you should already have in your QuickBooks, okay? So in this case, right, these were created, right? These are to reflect all the federal responsibilities that you have to pay. So again, we have to pay for, we don't have to pay for it, but we're going to be paying into Social Security, Medicare, all right, and federal unemployment tax and federal income tax, okay? And we also have state unemployment, but in this case, we are going to set that up using the payroll setup interview, okay? So once again, if you don't need to use the payroll setup interview, then you know exactly what you're doing, you can manually create your accounts or your items through this window right here, because all you have to do, just like any other account or any other item, go down below and click on here on payroll, and it should give you a drop-up menu to go ahead and create a new item, okay? Now, once again, in this list here, it's going to list everything that you need to have in regards to payroll. So this is where you're going to be setting up all your compensations, all your benefits, all your deductions, all of your taxes, okay? Anything that has to do with payroll, you're going to create the account here. Now, like I've mentioned before, if you are more experienced with the QuickBook and know what you're doing under payroll, then you can go ahead and start creating your items here, right here, and walk through each question and set up the item yourself. But in this case, right, we have what's called a payroll setup interview that actually helps us create these items, and it helps us set them up as well. Okay. Now, with that being said, in order to do that, so we don't necessarily need to do it manually here. If we go through the payroll interview setup or setup interview, it's going to create these items for us. Okay. So just like how we did the company file, right, and we did the advanced setup, or in this case, the detailed setup, it's going to ask us a series of questions, and as we answer them, it's going to create the profile, but also set up preferences for us. So that's essentially the same idea here, is that the payroll setup interview is going to essentially help us create and set up our payroll much quick and much easier. Okay, so that is what I'm going to be doing. So payroll items there. Okay. So again, if you just read this book, you're going to have this whole entire section that kind of breaks down and tells you how the accounting works behind the scenes, but at the same time, explain what each item does. So again, we have, your earnings items, you have your benefit items, you have your, if you have a 401k, your federal tax items. So all this, again, are just details in case you are not familiar with how payroll works. Well, this is just a little 101 on a little background information on each item and what it does for the individual, but at the same time, what the accounting behind the scenes does when you actually manually create a paycheck. Okay? So here we are. I need you guys to be here on the payroll setup interview section here, because we're going to go ahead and start right away. Okay. Now, in this case, the great thing about understanding how this interview works is you can tap into it at any given time. So if you leave in the middle of it, well, obviously that means you didn't properly set up all of your accounts all the way. But you can always come back to it at any given time. So as we are if we are a small company, right, and we don't offer these benefits because we just can't afford to offer them, as we gradually go on into business and we become bigger and bigger and bigger, and then all of a sudden you can offer that, you can open up the payroll setup interview, go through the series of questions again, and this time plug in any new items instead of going to the payroll items list and manually entering them there. You can always go through the interview at any given time. Okay, that's just a little note that you need to know. Okay, it's not like you have to complete the whole interview. You should complete the whole interview if you want to save yourself some time instead of stopping halfway. Definitely, but you can always leave the interview at any given time. Okay, and you can always go back to it at any given time. So let's go ahead and start and activate that. So this is going to be a lot of images. So a lot of page flipping is going to start happening from right here, okay? So it's a lot of pages. It's about 40 something pages that we have to go through. So let's go through the interview together, okay? So very first thing here is I'm going to go up to my employees on the menu. You cannot access the payroll setup interview except for on the menu bar. So employees menu bar, okay? And you're going to go ahead and click on that payroll setup. If you click on this, it's going to take you, it's going to upload right here the interview, okay? And here is the very first page that we're going to say. So here it is. So here it's going to give us basically a little graph here, or a little percentage on seeing how far we are completed. So as you can see, there are a total of 4 sections, when we're going to go through setting up payroll, right? Number one is going to be company setup. So setting up what you need to have in your company, such as compensations, benefits, deductions, anything that you offer for your employees. Second thing is going to be the employee setup window, right? So setting up your employees, it's not as easy as you think it is. You're not just going to put the name and number there. You need almost a lot of every detail. And the number one thing is you need their W-4 form, okay? Then the next thing is you're going to be setting up the taxes. So setting up all the federal taxes that you are responsible to pay, as well as setting up all the state taxes that you are subject to pay. And you're doing it for both employee and employer. All right. And then last section here is going to be the year-to-date payroll information. That we'll talk about when we get there. That is when, if you are a pre-existing company and you're doing payroll in the middle of the year, you need to add in all this information. So then when you do file your taxes at the end of the year, and you submit your W-2 form to the government, and along with your form 940, 941, 945, all of those files, right, including your 1098s too and your 1090s, okay, all of those forms, which are all tax-based based on the employees itself. When you submit that, right, at least you are correct, or you're filing taxes at the correct level. Okay, so then you don't get any discrepancies or any issues or having to owe more than you should, right? You need to make sure that you do your year-to-date payroll information if you are planning to do payroll in the middle of the year. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started with the first section here, which is company setup. So I'll go ahead and click on continue, and this window tells me I need to set up my compensation. What am I going to offer, and how am I going to offer to pay for my employees? So once I click on that continue, here you go. I'm going to get this window. First off, how do I pay my employees? Am I going to pay them on a salary base? Am I going to pay them on an hourly wage, right? And if so, do I offer any bonuses, any commissions? And are these workers tipped? And if they are you going to have them count their tips against their earnings? Okay, so that's what this section is. So in this case, I will set up someone who is a salary-based earnings, right? They're going to be the admin. And then I'm going to also have an hourly worker who is someone who does the job for me on a daily, right? They're required to go out there and take photos, right? In this case, Mike Mazowski is going to be an hourly working employee, okay? Now, I do have commissions, and they say, yes, you make sure you select commissions because maybe in this case, I allow my sales representatives to make a little profit off of each individual person that they acquire from the company. Okay? Again, tips, if you are having tipped workers, right, are you going to have that count as income? So that's definitely something you want to check mark. In this case, no. And other ones is going to be piecework. So if you don't know what any of these are, as you can see right next to there, has a little explain button right there. So if you don't know what a piecework is, you could go ahead and tap on here, and it will give you a little window so you know exactly what a piecework is. So in this case, are they getting money for doing a project? That's how they're getting paid, right? So that's so then you're not left in the dark when if you are doing this for your first time, you don't know what these items are. That's how you can, they have a little boxes to allow you to explain what they are. Okay. In this case, I have bonuses, but I don't have I don't have tipped workers or piecework workers. I'm going to also provide commissions. Okay. Then I'm going to go ahead and click next, or in this case, next, yeah. So the next question Come on. When I click on next, since I have commissions, right, it's going to ask me, am I going to be paying or am I going to allow my sales representative to get commissions based on a flat rate, or am I going to have them based on a percentage of sales? In this case, I'm going to have them on a percentage of work, or whatever that they, a percentage of. Okay, so again, most commissions, right? You could get, so for example, ones that are paid at a flat rate, every person that you bring into the company, you get $100. Okay, that's based on a flat rate. Some of them are based on a percentage of sales. So let's say someone came in and they got somebody and they sold $5,000 worth of service and items. They get a 10% cut from that and goes directly to their paycheck. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and click finish. Okay. Now that I've listed, those are the things that I'm going to have as, you know, my compensations. Now here's a list that they just populate for me. So here they populate that there's double time, right? That can exist if you were going to offer it. They have hourly. They have overtime. Okay, and they have salaries, bonus, and commissions. Okay, so in your book, it will tell you that you need to delete a few things and you need to change a few things, because in our payroll system, we're going to refer them kind of slightly different, but at the same time, we're also going to set each an individual item up. Okay, so the first one that they said is they want you to delete the double time. Okay, so here I have the options down below. I can either add a new item. So again, if I have another compensation that I do provide, I can add it right there. Okay, I can edit each item that I want, or I can just delete them. In this case, I don't need double time, so I click yes. I want to delete that. I don't offer overtime either. Oops. I hit the wrong one. Since I don't offer overtime, I'm going to go ahead and delete that one. Okay. Yes. Now you have left is 4 items, which is perfect because these are the 4 that I am going to be using for compensating my employees. So the very first one they want you to do is they want you to change each one, but also set up what items that are linked to these particular items. So here the very first one is we have hourly. I'm going to go ahead and I could have 2 choices. I can either click on edit, or I can actually double click on them and it will pop up then. Okay, so then you get this window here where it says, okay, well, how do you want to edit this information? They want you to refer hourly as hourly regular. Okay? And yes, it's an active item, right? That means we're going to have a wage worker earn money and it's going to be an active item. Okay? Once again, this is an expense account, right? Because the way we pay them is we're going to pay them as an expense. So here we have payroll expense, but they want you to be a little more specific. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this, and they want me to have payroll expense, which is the main account, which is broken into sub accounts, and they want me to further go into not only payroll expenses, but they want me to go payroll expense gross wages. Okay? They want me to set it up that way. All right? And with that being said, I go ahead and click finish. So that one is set up already. Okay? Then they want me to go ahead and also fix salary here. Okay? They want this to be salary regular, active once again. Pay, it's an expense, but in this case, we wanted to also link this to gross wages. Okay? And then I'm going to go ahead and click finish. Okay. Now the last 2, okay, bonuses and commissions. So in the table, make sure you guys are on that table to tell me what I need to do here. So for bonuses, okay, I need to modify this and change it to gross wages, okay? Commissions, let's see, commissions, I'm also going to do that as a gross wage as well, okay? So I'm going to go in there and link them to the accounts that they need to be linked to. So again, bonuses, you don't need to edit anything in their information. You could just keep it as is. Active, but this time it's going to be for gross wages, okay? So again, bonuses could be a flat rate, could be a percentage of your actual paycheck. So it could be at end of the year Christmas bonus. Everybody they get an extra paycheck, whatever means that you want to have in there. It's going to be an item that you can select. All right, finish. Last but not least, we have our commissions. They said to leave the name the way it is, but we're going to match this up to our gross wages. But here's a little difference here. This one has a next budget because it's going to tell me how much percentage is going to be distributed to this individual, okay? I don't believe your book says anything about it, but I'm just going to go ahead and throw in that they can get a 15% commissions, okay? So that means if they did a sales, right, they get to claim 15% off of those sales. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and click finish. All right. So then now I get back to this window and all of those things look good. And these are my compensation items. These are my payroll compensation items, meaning these are the ones that I'm going to be using to pay my employees. Okay. Any questions? No? Okay. So then let's go ahead and click on continue. Now the next step here is going to be any benefits that you offer your okay, actually no, this is deductions, excuse me. Let's start with the deductions. What deductions do you offer to your employee? And if I go ahead and click continue, right? Now, when I say deductions, what I mean is going to be items that take away from your paycheck. So do you offer Medicare, okay, or medical insurance? Do you offer dental insurance, vision, health, life insurance, right? You see, so we have life insurance here. We have health insurance here. We have other insurances. So maybe you offer, in this case, it's photography. So you might offer, I don't know what other insurances you would offer as a photography, but let's say you're an automobile company. You can offer auto insurance, okay? You can offer, there's a lot of things that you can offer as a deduction to the paycheck but the more common ones you would see would be health insurance, life insurance, vision, dental insurance. Those are all going to be considered deductions which take away from the paycheck, okay? Now again, this is it's also a part of a benefit as well, because not only does it take away from your paycheck, but you're offering in return to cover and protect your employee. So in this case, the first one I'm going to say is I'm going to offer at least health insurance, okay? You could check dental, you could check vision, you could check life insurance for whatever means that you need to or want to add in there, you can do so. But for this scenario here, we only offer health insurance, okay? And I'm going to go ahead and click on next, okay? So there you go. Now it's going to ask you this right here. How is this health insurance going to be paid for? Okay. Now in your book, it says that if your company pays for it 100%, then that's not considered a deduction to your employees. So therefore, you don't need to even have the item on here, because if you're going to be responsible for paying the medical or health insurance 100%, then that's an expense on your side, not to the employee. However, many cases, there are few scenarios where a company is actually going to pay for your medical insurance 100%. Those ones are more for people who are in the medical field. Obviously, they're working at an hospital, so they're going to cover you 100%. But for smaller businesses who cannot afford that, or just any corporations that provide so many other benefits, that they have to, cut some expenses somewhere. So most cases you'll see is a 50-50. Or other places that just absolutely cannot afford a health insurance for you. They can provide one for you, or you can buy from them, but you're going to be responsible to pay for all of it. Okay, if that's the case, then your only two options that you have is if both the company and you, the employee, pay for it, or the employee pays for it 100%. And in this case, we're going to say that both the company and the employee are going to be responsible for paying into this health insurance. Okay, and that's most common one right there. So then the next question that pops up is this employee portion deducted before or after taxes? Now, this is going to be up to the company itself. Most cases, usually medical insurance is taken before taxes. But in this case right here, I do have seen many companies who take it after taxes. Okay? So that means they make you pay taxes 100%, and then they deduct more from you. So it's a lose situation there. But I know that there are cases where they take the medical insurance out before taxes, so then you pay less taxes. Okay? So in this case, they're making us deduct the medical insurance after taxes. Okay? So then I'm going to go ahead and click next or finish. Okay? Then it's going to say, would you like to schedule it? You're going to go ahead and just ignore this and make sure that you click I do not want to schedule it now and finish. Okay? So now you have two items right here. You have one, which is the medical insurance, which is for the company, and then you have the medical insurance for the actual employee, which is taxable. In this case, because if you're going to be paying into the insurance anyway, you don't need to keep record that you're going to make that insurance payment, because that's already an expense that you already know that you have to incur. So in this case, they want you to delete the company one, okay? Because you don't need to double tax yourself for providing health insurance as a company. So yes, right? And they want you to keep this one, which is the health insurance that's taxable to the employee. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to double click on here because I need to edit the information on here. All right. So how are we going to set up this health insurance, right? First off, I'm not going to have it called health insurance. They want me to call it medical insurance. Okay. And once again, it is definitely an active item. Okay. And then they're going to have me click next. Okay. Come on now. Next. There you go. So then now it's going to say, well, is there an actual specific person that you're going to make payments to. And in this case, I believe, yes, we are going to be making payments for or who this person that's going to take care of the medical insurance. In this case, the benefit here is that we are going to be giving it to, actually, no, never mind. Nobody here. In this case, we're going to go ahead and click no. We're not going to schedule it now, or we're not going to deal with it now. So they told us to click next. Okay. Okay. So then now it's going to be setting up the actual insurance for this. Now in this case, it's already selected as liability. No, it is not a liability to us. It's going to be considered an expense. Okay, so make sure you know that, right? Especially for health insurance, if you're paying it either by the month, and if you are paying it by the month, then you need to make sure that it is an expense item, okay? Okay. And then you're going to, and then this one's going to be insurance expense. And you're actually going to toggle this right here. And you're going to actually look and you have to find it. It's going to be under health insurance expense. Okay. So I have to go find it. Insurance expense, health insurance right here. Okay. And that's what I want to have them, or every time I use this item and they're paying into the insurance, they're paying into the insurance expense account for health insurance. Okay? And then I could go ahead and click next. Right? And then it's going to ask you this. Do you want to use standard tax or do you want to use a custom tax? In this case, they tell you to leave it alone because in all cases, you definitely don't want to have a specialized tax for any of these items because if you do, you could get yourself in a lot of trouble, especially with the IRS because you're taking a custom tax. In this case, no, you want to keep everything standard because you want to make sure that you get taxed at the right amount so you don't have any problems later on when you submit your 1040 or your 1041 forms and you have no problems there. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and click next. And then last but not least is going to be determining how much the insurance is going to be taken off or deducted out of the person's paycheck. So in this case, the first one says right here, do not calculate. It's going to be an enter a flat rate. Yes. This means that because you can charge your customers, or I'm sorry, your employees a specific rate in this case, no, you don't need to, you don't need to have them pay a rate for insurance. It should be a flat rate. So in this case, I don't need to calculate anything. It's going to be a flat payment. And this payment is going to be for $100. Okay? And then it's going to be actual limit here to restart. And I believe it says here that that this is going to be per month, not per annual. It's going to be per month. Okay? And is there a limit? In this case, no, there's absolutely no limit, especially when you're considering health insurance. There should absolutely be no limit. Okay? And then now I can go ahead and click finish. Okay? And that's how you set up your medical insurance. Okay? Now again, when we're done with the interview, there's actually more in depth because this is just linking these the accounts to the appropriate items. Okay, but when you're done with this, you may have to go back into there because you may have to set up the actual vendor that you're getting the health insurance from, and et cetera, et cetera. In this case, I didn't have one, so I went ahead and bypassed that. Okay? So that is setting up your medical insurance. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and click continue. So then the next step here is going to talk to you about is going to be retirement benefits. Okay? The common one, the one that everybody knows is 401k. Okay? Now, here's a few options that you can offer to your employees, which some of these things I've never even heard of. Like I've never heard of a 403B. I don't know what that is. Or a 457B plan. I've never heard of that. Okay? But again, if you need more information on it, because some people actually know what these are, okay, you can look up extra information on what are these, resources or whatever, retirement benefit plans. Okay, so once again, there's a variety of them. Now, here's what I also disagree on this right here is it's most likely that a company does not offer IRAs. IRAs is an individual retirement account, which you kind of have to set that up on your own. Like you got to go out to the bank and you got to set that IRA up yourself. The company does not do that for you, or they shouldn't offer it for you as in terms of a payment as a retirement benefit plan, okay? Now there's other things that they can do. You could do stock options, right? If you're a corporation, a retirement benefit plan could be that after you retire, you get to keep a portion of stocks that allows you to, you can cash out at any given time for your retirement, or you can, continue to keep earning money off of the company. That is an option that isn't on here. That is a possible retirement plan. But once again, it just depends on what you can offer, what you have to offer, and is it available? Is it something that you can do? So in this case, all of these, most likely, we're going to go for a 401k plan. Okay? Now again, we're a corporation. We can afford it. As you can see, all of our sales are in increments of $1,000. So in this case, we can definitely afford to have a retirement benefit plan for my employees. Okay. And once I do that and I select that I want just that one, I'm going to go ahead and click next. Once again, this window pops up. Just go ahead and click ignore and click next. So here you have two of them, right? Because as a 401k plan, as we know, right? A portion of the money or the portion of your paycheck, right? You're gonna put your part of your paycheck in there, and the company is going to match you. Now, how much do they match you? All right, I believe, nowadays for an employee to put in their paycheck, I think the maximum that they could put their paycheck in is about 6%. Okay? Or at least that's the highest that I know is about 6%, that they can put 6% of their paycheck into a 401k plan. Now, how much the company matches them, that's also going to be depending on how much the actual company can afford. If they're very good to their employees, then they can match them 100%, dollar for dollar. All right? Now, those are rare companies out there. Most cases, 50% is the most that you could get from a company. Or a mediocre company, let's just say. Any less than that, once again, it's going to be subject to the company's policy. Okay? And you cannot change this agreement at any given time. You can change the how much you want to put. So maybe this year, the employee wants to only put 2% down. And then next year they say, oh, now that I realize I have enough money, every paycheck that comes in, I'm going to put in 4%. Yes, you can change that. And whatever the company agrees, and whether it's 100% or 50%, they must comply to that. Okay? So here we have 401k match and 401k employee. So in this case, we're going to edit this information because we need to also link the appropriate accounts and also set up this account. So in this case, we don't call this 401k company match. We just call this match 401k. That's it. All right. Yes, it's an active item. Okay. And I'm going to click next. So then next is going to be, do you have a person that's going to help you, or in this case, is there a person that you are currently paying or paying into to provide this 401k plan? And we do, right? This one is the Merrill Lynch person here, okay? And this this person's account information is, I believe it's 99 dash 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. I believe that's too many numbers.
That's what it says. It is 991 2 3 4 5 6 7 8.
Yeah, because if that's an employee identification number, that's too many numbers because that's more than 9. 3 plus 2 plus 4 is 10, right? Oh yeah, that's right. Okay. Okay, so there you go. And then now again, I don't need to schedule anything, so I'm going to go ahead and click next. Okay. So then now it tells me, well, what account am I going to be linking this? So first one you need to have is your expense account. So there again, I have it expense, but as you can see, my screen's just tight fitting here. So it's going to ask me, what am I going to be linking my expense account to? And in your book, it says that you're going to link the expense account to
Employee benefits.
employee benefits. So it's going to be payroll employee benefits. So in this case, there it is, payroll expense employee benefits. Okay. That's the expense that's going to happen here. Now, what's the liability is going to be you actually paying into their portion. So in this case, liability, and it's going to be other current liabilities. Okay, so, or other payroll liabilities, excuse me. So payroll liabilities, other payroll liabilities. Okay. And then we're going to go ahead and click next. All right, once again, we're not going to touch this the tax here. It's set as standard. So we're going to go ahead and click next. Right? And then now is going to be the cap limit on the company's how much they're going to contribute to the actual 401k. So in this case, right here says do not calculate, enter in an actual amount. In this case, no, we're not going to do that. We're actually going to put it as a percentage. Okay, as a percentage of pay. All right, and this we are going to match them only 2%. Okay, because this is the company one. The company's going to match 2%. All right, and is there an actual limit? Again, per year? Yes, there is. It's going to be $5,500 is the maximum that we're going to put in per year. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and finish this. Okay. So now I just set up the company's portion of the 401k. All right. Now I need to fix the employees section of the 401k. And in this case, I'm going to rename this one to say 401k deduction, because this is what is going to be taken away from their paycheck.
That was for the 401k employee or for the 401 match?
This one I'm changing. Oh, okay, I see. I hit the wrong one.
That's for the 401k employee, right?
Yes. Okay, hold on. Let me cancel this. So let me see 401k employee. So yeah, we need to double click that one. All right, and we're going to change this one to say 401k deduction. Okay. yes, once again, it is an active item. Okay. Next. So once again, same information, right? Because we're paying the same person to provide this this 401k plan. So 99-1234567 Okay. And again, not going to schedule anything. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and click next. Now this time I have to do a payroll liability. So this again, it's going to be payroll liability, other payroll liabilities. Okay. And then I'm going to go ahead and click next. So then once again, standard tax. And then now this is what the employee is going to contribute into their pay, right? In this case, we're just going to make a general assumption that everybody's going to put in a percentage of their paycheck, right? So we're going to go ahead and put percentage of pay. And this is a general one that we're going to say they're going to put 4% of their paycheck into this. Now, once again, on a per individual case, if an employee says, no, I don't want to put in 4%, that's a little too much from a retirement, then you can go ahead and make adjustments on that individual person's a 401k plan, saying they only want to be deducted 2%. Okay, or they want to be deducted 3%, whatever agreement that they want to follow along here. But we're saying that in general, for all my employees, I'm going to treat them all the same unless they have a per individual case needs. In this case, I'm going to assume that everybody gets to take 4% of their paycheck and dump it into their retirement. And in this case, they actually have an actual cap, which is, I believe, $16,500. And that's their cap on how much that they can contribute to their 401k per year. Right. And then now I'm going to go ahead and click finish. So now I finally finished setting up my my 401k plan. And then now I can move on to the next section. All right. Any questions so far?
No.
Okay. Last but not least, we have this last section where we can choose to offer pay times sick pay, or we can do vacation pay. Now, in your book, it says to just only do vacation pay. They don't offer sick pay. So if you're sick, you're sick. We, you don't get paid for being sick, but we do pay for you to vacation. Okay. As odd as that sounds, but that's what they said. That's what Imagine Photography's policy is. So they said that, yes, we'll pay them to go on vacation. Okay? Click finish. All right? And there you have it. You have hourly vacation and salary vacation. Right? I believe these ones we don't do anything to, except for setup that they are gross wages. Okay? So not going to change any names here. We're only going to link the accounts to the appropriate ones. So again, here, we're going to make sure that this is to the gross wages. Okay? Because it's something that they can earn. All right? And I believe salary vacation gets one. I don't remember if your book tells you that if hourly gets one or not. But in this case, it's a fictitious business. So in this case, I'm just going to go ahead and do that. Okay? So anything could be here, right? Vacation pay, any fringe benefits, right? If you require a membership to get the access to all these discounts, right? If you have... what do you call that? When you come up to a group together that does the rights for employees, that you have to pay into your paycheck, so we could take that out for you. Other things could be holiday pay, sick pay, vacation pay,
The
paid
union?
time up, union. Yes, union fees can go here too. Okay?
Union dues.
Union fees. All right? Anything, right? That is an other benefit or other deduction that you provide. If you have meals and you provide that as an expense, right? Unfortunately, or if you reimburse for mileage, you can have mileage right here. Okay? So that is that there, and I'm going to go ahead and click continue. So now we are completely done with setting up our company. All right? So now the next thing that we got to do is going to be, okay, so there's any other additions or benefits here. So in this case, do I allow cash back or cash in advance? Okay. Do I have any other benefits, taxable fringe benefits, which I was just talking to you guys about, right? This is where you can set it up here. Do I reimburse for mileage? Do I um, do I offer meals and payment plans? Do I pay for travel expenses? Okay, as in if I have to fly you guys out for an event, are those going to be paid for? That's going to be considered a fringe benefit, right? You could get discounts at hotels because you work for a company. That's a fringe benefit. So these are all things that you can offer to your employee. In this case, I'm not going to select any of them. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and finish this. So then now I can move on to the next section, which is now setting up my employees. Okay, so that whole first section took quite a lot of time, and that's why I was telling you guys, if you guys don't know what you want to provide your employees, you're going to spend hours on this page. Okay, because you not only do you have to set them up, you have to figure out, well, how do I set them up if I don't have an insurance benefit plan that I have already in place? So those are the contributing factors that could make the payroll setup a lot quicker. But if you don't have that information, then that's why you're going to take forever, because when you commit to having employees and having to assume all those responsibilities, there's a lot of work that goes into it. Okay? Any questions in regards to the company setup section of the payroll setup?
No.
Okay.
No.
All right. So now we can finally move on to set up our employees. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and click on continue. So once you get to this window here, a window should pop up because you want to try to at least set up one of your employees. Now, again, you're not obligated to do this, because if you skip this section, right, you can always add your employee exactly the same way that we entered in our customers and our vendors. You go to the employee center and you click on add new employee. Now, of course, they want you to set this up so then you know all the information that you need in order to set up the rest of your employees. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at this. So I believe we fast forward over a lot of pages here. Okay, so the window I need you guys to be on is the section where we're going to set up Katie Reynolds as part of our employees.
I think it's on 384.
384. Here we are. Setting our up employees. So there we go. Here is Katie Reynolds information. So we're going to set up Katie. All right. So what is the person's name? All right. First name, Katie. Oops. K-A-T-I. Middle name, none. Last name, Reynolds. Okay. So as you can see here, right, what you're going to notice is that the printed name is going to be Katie Reynolds. What if Katie is a nickname, right? What if it's short for Caitlin? then you're going to actually have to make sure that if you are going to be printing their name on there, it can't be a short name. It has to be their legal name. So in this case, right, this is where I can actually make changes and say, well, maybe it's Kate Lynn, okay, Y-N, okay, it's Caitlin Reynolds. But in this office, she likes to be called Katie. Great. All right. Just make sure that when you do this, that you are precise to this, because every person has a legal name, but they also have maybe a name that they like to be called, right? Or for many people who have, foreign names, they have an Americanized name, right? So, or, example for like that example, right? A name that they go by, but in paper, it needs to be written as a legal name because this is going to be printed on the check. Okay. All right. So now that I have that, all right. Yes, she's active, meaning she currently works. Now, in this case, right, this section is important because if she's inactive and she doesn't work for you, you do need to fill in at least the information, whether if she's been an employee, you just recently terminated her, you have to still fill in that information for the year to date on the amount of payroll because you still owe her a W-2 form at that point. But if this person is inactive since way back when, you don't need to even add them at all, period. Okay? And in this case, she is definitely active. She's fully working for us, okay? Okay? So then now it says contact information. What is her home address? Okay? So I believe it is 432 Enos Lane. Okay. And I believe she lives in Danville, California.
Yep.
Danville, California. Oops.
94510.
Yep. 94510.
94501.
501. Sorry. 94501.
Okay, there you go. Okay. There we go. And now that I have her mailing address and billing or I guess a way to contact her if I need to mail out anything to her, I have that information, right? We don't need this so we can send them out. We need this because this is going to be proof that they are a resident in California. Because if you guys do not know, you can be working in another state but residing in another state. And if that's the case, right, if I live in California and I'm working in Nevada, therefore, because I'm living in California, I'm subject to pay California tax, not Nevada tax. So you do need to know that because the question that you'll see here is that in a few slides, in a few, pages later is, has this person worked out of state? Is this the current residency? And if it is, then you're going to base the tax on where they currently reside in. Okay? So once again, I gave you an example. All right? Katie could be living in Hawaii, but is currently working at this place in California. So therefore, she could be subject to Hawaii tax, not California tax. Okay? Now, you can obtain residency in both locations, right? So many situations could be for those who have multiple homes in multiple states. If that's the case, you may be taxed twice. Okay? You may be taxed at the state that you worked in and the state that you live in. All right, so you have to be very careful and make sure that when you go through the IRS that you know exactly which tax that you're going to tax them at. Okay? All right, and I'm going to go ahead and click next. All right, so the next thing here we're going to be taking a look at is going to be what kind of pay rate or what kind of worker is she? She's a regular worker. Okay? All right. Now here's other information on when we hired her. What's her social security number? I think it's 333221234. Oops.
4321.
4321.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. I know this is not a legitimate. There you go. Okay. So yes, anything that's starred is going to be required. Right. When was her hire date?
4/1,
4/1,
2008.
2008.
Okay. You can type it in. This one's not going to require you to have a calendar and be very specific about it. Release date. She's still working with us, so we haven't released her. So this section you don't need to fill in. When is her birth date? January 31st, 1972.
2.
Why are we requesting for her birth date?
To make sure she's of age.
Correct, right? Not because we want to know when her birthday is so we can celebrate it. It's so we can determine whether she is legal of age to be working. So I don't know. I believe in the state of Nevada it is 18 or 16, something like that. But we need to make sure that she is as of age that could be available to work. Because there are, if you are a specific certain type of age, there's a limitation on how much you can work. So anybody that's underage, their limitations is only working part-time. This one, she's fully of age to work. Okay. And then here, gender. Gender, here, there are two options, either female or male. Now in QuickBooks, for anybody that does not wish to reveal what gender they are, you can leave this blank. All right. Now, the only reason why they want you to fill in this information is for, for demographic purposes, statistics only. Saying in your company, right, how many workers are female versus how many workers are male. Okay, I'll give you a great example. So if this company was an IT company, you already know most of those workers are generally male, right? So this one is going to give them kind of a statistic saying, hey, maybe we need to get more female workers in our company because our demographics is that we're predominantly a male kind of company, but we need to be more open and more diverse by allowing female workers to work in this company. So that's all that's for. It's not to point out who's this or label who's this, but it's for statistic purposes only. So in this case, they let us know that she's okay with us letting us know that she's a female. Okay. Now I can go ahead and go next. All right, so now we're going to talk about how we're going to pay Katie. In this case, she's going to be getting 2 paychecks per month, and that's going to be semi-monthly because she is a salary worker. Okay? And how much does she get per year? She has a great job because she's getting $60,000 per year. Okay? Right? Does she get commissions? Yes, she does. So make sure you check that part because she can get commissions. Okay? Next. Right? Now here's going to outline her what deductions that she can take from here. In this case,
Doesn't say commissions in the book.
That's okay. I mean,
Okay.
what difference
Okay.
would it make if I didn't have that checked mark?
Okay.
So in this case right here, we're at this window where I'm going to be determining her amounts for each one. So in this case, 401k deduction. In this case, the amount that they told you to put in is 0 because right now she hasn't earned any yet. All right, and this amount is 0. Okay. Oh, actually, no. This amount, let me see. This is 401k deduction. So that means her cap amount is 5500 per year. And then this one for the 401k match, which is the company. Oh, wait, no. The company's 5,000.
The 401k says the 16,500,
Yep.
and then the 401 match was the 5,500.
Yeah, there you go. Correct. Okay, so I'm going to try to be able to see this. Okay. Once again, right now it's 0, but the match cap limit is only 5,500. All right. And then the last one is going to be medical insurance. Once again, she's going to be charged $100, and but there is no cap for this one. Okay. All right, that's our agreement terms for this right here, is that this is what's going to happen. Okay. All right. And then now we can go ahead and click on next. Okay. So once again, setting up the employee is going to be one of the longest things that you have to do, because there's a lot that you have to put in here, a lot of information. All right. And what's going to help you the most in this one is going to be the W-4 form. So in this case, how many hours can she claim for, I believe this is for the calculating for Katie's vacation pay. Okay, so in this case, she can only claim up to 80 hours, okay, which is per for the beginning, at the very beginning, and her cap limit, okay, unused so far is going to be let me see.
Accrual limit.
Accrual
Limit.
Yep, and it's for the cap is 200 hours. Okay. And then you're going to get this little right here where it says time off. Currently, you leave that by itself. You don't mess with that one. Then at the very bottom of here too, you leave this in case she has already accrued. That's where you're going to plug in those numbers here. Okay. In this case, we're starting payroll like this is our fresh payroll, right? She's going to start at 0, or she's going to have 80 available, and the max that she could take is 200. And right now, she's currently have not accrued any vacation time. All right. Next. So then here, you're going to be at this window where you guys are going to be checking off, right, the direct deposit. Now, in this case, of course, it makes it so much easier to have direct deposit. But once again, if you did not know, you have to actually pay the bank to do direct deposit, because once again, it's going to be using their digital system. And not only are you going to be linking that bank system to everybody else's bank accounts, right? Not everybody has the same bank. So that's more work for the bank to do. So they make you guys, or make the company pay a small portion to be able to do direct deposits. Now, once again, in this case, we're not going to pay by direct deposit. We're just going to give her a standard paycheck. So in this case, I'm not going to set this up, because if you click on that, you're going to have to set up her bank account so you can be able to transfer the money through there. Now, once again, you can always do this once we complete our interview, right? You can actually go to Katie and actually, say, yes, we can do that. We can directly deposit money into your bank account. In this case, no. We're just going to be printing checks from here. So I will click next. Okay. Oops. All right. So the next section here is going to be determining what taxes that she is subject to be paying. In this case, I believe this is where the book kind of shifts screens here. Because again, the book and the file are two different things, as we've seen before. So if you notice, some of these things are actually, we are going to be doing California, right? State subject to be, yes, she is going to be doing California once again. So I'm going to type in CA. Okay, California. Oops. All right. And then the question is, while working for you in 2021, did Katie Reynolds live or work in another state. So that's what I was talking about. In this case, the answer is no. She did not work or she did not live in another state while working for you. So that's what I was talking about, because if she did, this is where you're going to be toggling that information, where if she lives in California but if she lives in Nevada but works for us in California, this is where you need to say that she's not subject to California tax, she's subject to Nevada tax. It's based on where you live, not where you work. Okay? So in this case, no. So that means she's going to be subject to both California taxes because she lives in California and works for you in California. Okay. So I go ahead and click on next. Now this is where you need to take out the W-4 form for Katie, because this is where you're going to be filling out all this information here. All right. So the very first one here is which W-4 form is she going to be using? Her 2020 and later. So as you can see, this is where your window is going to go a little off the book. I'm going to click OK. So therefore, this is her form now. So in this case, right, claim dependents, okay, other income, and other things. Now, if you guys remember, right, actually, never mind, this class didn't do it. It was the morning class. The new 2020 form is completely different than it is for 2019 and prior. Now they're looking into all of the income that you can earn. So in this case, you know what? I believe your book reverts to the old system where they are only looking at the 2019 and prior. Okay? Because I think this is where your book is going to be more alike. Because once again, like from past ones, the screens look all the same from this book to the previous book. So in this case, that means this is going to be for the 2019 and prior. Okay. Now, once again, what is her status? She is married. Okay. And sorry, my screen doesn't show that. Let me see if I can. Nope, it doesn't show that. But this part, it will say what's her marital status, because that's what the W-4 form had on 2019 was it gave you the list of what she's going to claim for, right? And it gives you withholdings and so on and so forth. With the new W-4 form for 2020 in newer, you're not going to have that anymore. You only can claim one status, either single, married, or head of household. You can't claim those as deductions to your payments, your check anymore. All right? The amount of dependents you have or the amount of allowances that you take is going to be calculated against your paycheck, whereas the 2021, that doesn't happen until the very end. All right? Or in this case, they want to know every information on how much you're earning. So in this case, allowances, she has 2. And in this case, 0 withholdings. Okay? And then right here it says does not apply because she is a U.S. citizen. So nothing else there. So the Hire Act for individuals with Visa cards, or if they are a green card holder, that's what this is. Okay?
So what if we have the 2020 and later and it still shows dependents, income, deductions, and withholdings?
So for you, since you do remember the class, if you put in dependents here, it's going to be calculated as $2,000 per dependent. Remember? And then for here, right, for any extra income, other income, right, that's going to go against your income. And here, as you can see, it's very crowded. I know it is, but it gives you options to select your status. You can't just claim whatever you want. You have to either claim singled, married, or head of household. That's it. You can't do anything other than that. So that's just for that one. But I believe the book is going to go off of the 2019 and prior. Or, yeah, earlier. Okay, so there we go. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and click next. So once again, now this is all the taxes that she is subject to be going to be taxed at. So once again, Social Security, Medicare is the first one actually, Medicare, Social Security, federal income unemployment, subject to not that one, and not CARES, yes, CARES, I think it's not for the company, but the second one, CARES for the employer, and then employee, and then the last one, which is subject to national, that one. Okay, so make sure you check mark that one in your book. It should be the first three and the last two. Okay, and then we're gonna go ahead and click next. So now, once again, we got to go through this. So again, her status that she is filing is going to be married. This is for setting up the state taxes. Okay, we already did federal. Now this is state. All right. Number of withholdings, 2. Number of allowances or any extra deductions, none. Okay. And therefore, for the state, she's only subject to the California unemployment, and there's another one that she's subject to, which is the California disability insurance. Okay. Next. So then now, next, come on. Right. So then now it asks us, right, are these the things that she's subject to be taxed at for the California? And yes, okay. And is this employee subject to any local taxes? Now, this is going to be depending on the county that your business is running business in. What is a local tax? So an example of that would be if you are your job is currently located at San Francisco, right? You have to pay a local tax for the public transportation services for the train system to go through the city. That's a local tax. Okay, so I'm pretty sure in New York you have to pay for the transportation subway system. Okay, so that is going to be one of those local taxes. In this case, no. These are the only two things that for California she is subject to, which is the disability and the unemployment. And yes. Okay. Next. All right, so here, almost done, guys. Here's going to be wage plan code. All right, in this case, this one is something that you're going to have to look up into more details about. But in this case, she's just going to be a regular state plan. Okay. As in regards to these plans, it's just the way that you're going to be taxed at, and she's just going to be for the S state plan. So once again, talk to your tax accountant or your payroll service, or someone who is in a profession of payroll itself, and ask what these taxes are about, or speak with a tax accountant, and they should be able to help you. Okay, and then that's it. That took forever to set up Katie, and that is all the information you need to have in order to set up the rest of your employees. Now, once again, that's it for today. That's it for Katie. That's it. I'm not going to put anybody else in here because I can manually do that when I reach my employee center. All right? And we'll talk about more in details with that when we come back from the break. Okay? All right. So right now, it is exactly 3:08. So I'm going to round that to 3:10. So take your 15-minute break and please be back no later than 3:25.